Good evening, everybody. We are here with Jason Blangy from Traveler Plumbing, and hope y'all have some questions lined up. He's ready to answer some. Um, most he's been here full time, 18 years. Been on his own with calling it Traveler Plumbing for eight,
The last 6.5.
last 6.5. All right, so he has been around the block a time or two because you worked for Kirkendall for
I worked for Kirkendall for almost 4 years.
almost 4 years,
Yes, sir.
and then went out on your own after that.
Yes, sir.
Jason,
Yes.
tell us your story.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as,
However far back you want to go.
well,
How long have you been in Greers Ferry?
I've been in the area my whole life. We moved to Arkansas when I was 2. Moved up to Fox, Arkansas, just north of here in Stone County, and grew up there through my youth. Moved away to to Searcy for college. Went to Harding University for a little while, and that didn't really work out. Ended up in Arizona, Louisiana, all around the country working. Always ended up back in Greers Ferry, just as kind of a home base. And anyway, got a job in the oil field here locally. That had become a career over about 6 years. I was really loving the oil field and that kind of thing when it started to fade out. Happened to run into Mike Kirkendall, owner of Kirkendall Services back then, and told him if he needed some help, I had some free time, I could help him out. About a week into it, he asked me what I thought of being a plumber. Told him I'd do it if he taught me. He had 46, 48 years of experience at the time, and the rest is kind of history. I started working for him, and toward about the third year of my apprenticeship, his health started fading. So, trying to complete an apprenticeship, and he was trying to keep me busy, that kind of thing. Just really wasn't working out as far as his health was concerned. So we had to do something different. Came up with the idea to go ahead and start my own business as an apprentice, which is not really kosher as far as the plumbing or the health department's concerned. So what I had to do was hire another local plumber who had a master's license. His name's J.R. Manus, and he overseen the last half year of my apprenticeship and my journeyman license. Under Traveler Plumbing, he was actually making money as master for Traveler Plumbing. Once I had the opportunity to go take my master's test, and there had been enough time passed since I had my journeyman license, went and completed that, shook hands with JR, and here we are 6.5 years later.
Well, you kind of answered the first question we had, what made you want to be a plumber? And it was just happenstance.
Happenstance was what initially got me into it. At the time, like I said, the plumber that I worked for, he was getting up there in age, as well as several of the other local plumbers. We had a few that were right there at retirement age, and there was nobody to really fill their shoes. So I seen the need in the community for somebody to be operating a plumbing truck, and kind of ran with that. Also, just the ability to get out there and meet the community, meet people in the community. Made a lot of friends and acquaintances over the last 6.5, actually 10 years. That we still hold relationships today. Y'all are a prime example of that.
That's what we talked about with Steve the week or so ago. That's one thing we love about this community is, you build friendships. It's not just business. It's a community, and we all do what we can for each other as much as we can for each other, and that's one of the things that we all really love about it.
First question, how often should you have a septic tank pumped out?
In a normal household, I recommend it about every 7 years.
Okay.
With normal use. On a lake house, I've seen septic tanks go 40 years without ever having a problem.
So like your like the wipes and stuff, do they, like your baby wipes and that type of thing, do they?
They say plumber approved because it's job security. They're guaranteed to clog up a septic system or a sewer system. If you live in Fairfield Bay or anywhere like that, if you've got a pump, you do not want to use wet wipes and flush them down the toilet in any occasion, except maybe a hotel room.
Next one is plumbers often have crazy stories. Got any? So I'll
Not
say,
offhand. Let's come back to that.
okay, we'll come back to that one. Next one is, are there a lot of health codes rules you have to abide by as a plumber?
Yes, 100%. We have to complete 8,000 hours on the job and 640 hours, I believe, of school before we can even become a journeyman plumber, where we still have to work under a master for another year to supervise 100% of our work up until that journeyman license. And then they're still the ones that are signing off and carrying the liability for our work until we do get our own master's license and go out on our own. Excuse me.
You good?
Do you have, so once you get there and you're out on your own, do you have like for us, we have CE every year that we have to keep our license up to date.
In the state of Arkansas, there is no real continuing education once you have your master's license, but the code does change occasionally. At this point, I learned on a 2006 plumbing code, the Arkansas Fuel Gas Code, and the Arkansas State Plumbing Code, 2006 edition. Now the guys that are in school, they're learning the 2018 edition. I need to learn the changes and updates in that as well. So it's really up to me to continue my education. But in order to be successful and be able to offer the best quality in what we do, we have to continue our education.
For sure.
Okay. So, Clint, this question is not fair since I'm the one reading it. But
I'll ask that question because I feel your pain, my friend.
sure.
So the question is how do you keep hair out of your shower? My wife sheds.
Well, they make some little screens, for $2 or $3 that you throw over the drain, and that's the best way. Other than that, there's really not a good solution to it. They make some little drain snakes and stuff like that, little plastic pieces that you can buy. It'll pull the hair right out of there and save you a service call.
I tell you what, we done that out at the house one time, and luckily our neighbor had one of those little bucket snakes he let me borrow. And I tell you, hire a plumber to come do that. You don't want to pull that up. You want somebody that has the stomach for that.
Yeah, it takes a hardened stomach.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for that.
Okay. I have heard certain cleaning products such as dishwasher pods can clog pipes. Is there any truth to that?
From what I understand in the research, because I follow several different plumbing pages nationwide to see what they're running into, how they're doing things, and as that's part of what I do just to keep up with the times. As far as dishwasher pods, I've heard some bad things about them. I've never really experienced it. I've heard the powdered ones are worse than the liquid ones, so that you want to stay away from the powdered ones because they do, and the casing that they're in is part of that because it creates a slimy, sticky substance that will adhere to the walls of your pipes if it doesn't make it all the way down the drain.
Yeah, because we've heard about that in, I guess, washing machines and dishwashers. The same thing, basically the same kind of stuff, I assume.
One thing I run into a lot is washing machines and kitchen sinks being tied together on a drain that's not sized properly. And the grease from the kitchen sink mixing with the soap from the washing machine tends to create quite the clog. And that's a little disgusting to repair, but it's definitely something that we've had to upgrade on more than one occasion.
Gotcha.
So to go back to like the wipes and stuff, that got a question that asked, what about wipes that are marked as flushable?
Again, that is job security for plumbers. We are guaranteed to get called out if you're flushing wipes down the toilet.
Okay. What are the best things you can do to preserve a septic system?
A septic system, a lot of people use Rid-X. I've seen the powdered type Rid-X create havoc in sewer systems and septic systems. It turns to like a concrete, it's promoted big time, you know, on all you see commercials. Everybody's seen a Riddick's commercial. That's not the best thing to use. Kirkendall, the guy that, you know, taught me, he always told us to use live active yeast for baking. So basically you take a packet or a tablespoon of dry active yeast, flush it down the toilet once a month. There's enough bacteria in that yeast that it's going to help preserve it. Main thing is to have a proper septic field installed, and again, have it maintenanced, pumped out occasionally every 7 years or so. And that's going to maintain the life of your septic system more than anything, is to have it pumped and have it inspected.
Miss Laura had a question that I would.
She said, she asked, do you have any suggestions on getting ready for the upcoming winter cold weather?
Winter cold weather for lake houses, I would recommend killing the breaker to your water heater, turning your water off, opening all your faucets, draining your system to the best of your ability, and opening cabinet doors, leaving your heat on to about 60 degrees. You know, if it is a vacant home. If it's a home that's a permanent home that's lived in all the time, full time, my best suggestion is to drip water, you know, when temperatures do dip well into the freezing range, and open cabinet doors, leave your heat on, and just be aware of your plumbing. When you go to build a new house, avoid putting plumbing on exterior walls in the design. That's one thing we run into a lot, and I usually tell people this is not a good idea, regardless of how well your house is insulated. If you've got exterior plumbing, say on a north wall, chances of it freezing increase dramatically.
For sure. So if you have if you buy a new house and you're looking for a septic tank, do you have a way to find one?
The way we find it is we have a camera that has a locator. It sends out a signal, and we're able to usually locate the septic tank within a foot or so of the access to it. And it usually doesn't take very long, about 45 minutes. And on that, I mean, we're looking at, you know, a service call and a camera charge. So
the success rate of that
success rate
really
has
good.
been about 99%.
Nice. That's hard to beat.
Can you get that, the live active yeast that you were talking about? Can you get that at your local hardware store?
I believe you can buy it in the baking section of any Walmart. It's probably at the dollar store down there.
Yeah.
Clint had a question. Is there any way to keep roots from taking over your lines?
There's several products out there that advertise that they can. I've not personally seen it and able to give a testimonial on the success of it. We've pulled several, you know, systems. The main thing is having the system installed correctly the first time. All your pipe glued together properly and tested before it's covered up and, you know, left to the elements, because you don't want to plant crepe myrtles around a septic system. There's several things you can do to keep roots away, as far as just being aware of where your septic system is and what you're planting around it. That's the main thing.
But the typical like grass roots and whatnot,
They're not going to penetrate a properly installed piping system.
Next question is, what are the upsides and downsides of a gas tankless
water heater?
Yeah.
Well, when it comes
tankless water heater.
when it comes to tankless water heaters, gas tankless are the only kind that I really recommend. Electric tankless, they sound good on paper. They're fairly inexpensive for the unit itself, but then you're paying a plumber to, you know, make that change for you, or to install it for you. You're paying the plumber to do that. And then you also have to pay an electrician to come out and run power to it. Those things tend to draw at least 120 amps, which means you have to have at least 3 40-amp breakers. When they kick on, your power bill's going up. You're not saving anything with an electric tankless. Propane tankless, or propane or natural gas, either one of those, I've seen great success out of. They're on demand, so you're not heating water that you're not going to use. You're not using energy that is pointless. And I really don't see a downside to a gas tankless other than the fact that it has to be descaled at least once annually. So because of the way it heats the water super fast, all your minerals and they calcify on the inside of the system.
So think of it like a coffee pot.
Think of it like a coffee pot. You want to clean that coffee pot or that coffee maker, every once in a while.
Yeah.
And you want to do the same with the tankless. It's really the lifeblood of the tankless water heater to get those things descaled.
Or your
On the, we were going to do a tankless at the house out there when we remodeled and everything. And that was what turned us off on it, because we were going all electric, of course. And they were like, if you got gas, go for it. If it's electric, it ain't going to pay off.
At one point, they were offering tax incentive energy rebates for installing gas tankless, and because they are so energy efficient. They're 98% efficient water heaters. All the energy that you're putting into heating that water, you're using on at the tap.
Right.
how long does one last? A tankless,
Tankless,
on average, if it's a full-time home.
as long as it's being maintained, the sky's the limit. I've seen some units at this point that weren't properly serviced that lasted as long as 15 years or so. And if they would have been properly serviced, like I said, the sky's the limit. You're not having to worry about a tank, of 50 gallons of water sitting there, but you do, you just want to take care of your water heater, no matter if it's a tank system or a tankless system.
Right.
It covers so much ground and take care of so many people. Anymore, it's just plumbing. I mean, whether it's the nasty situations or a new construction, it's just plumbing, and we're there to do a job, and we try to leave behind the best job that we possibly can as far as quality is concerned. One reason I have there's not enough people in the plumbing field as it is, and that's part of the reason is because they have this preconceived notion that you're going to be dealing with, raw sewage on a regular basis. Well, you do, but you do it in a sanitary way. You do it in a clean way to where you're not getting it on you. You're not risking your health or the health of anybody else.
Right.
That's the main job of the plumber, is to protect the health of the nation.
Right.
We're the first line of defense when it comes to disease and, that type of control.
What's the difference between Schedule 40 and Schedule 80 PVC?
Schedule 80 has a higher PSI test rating. It's used in applications where you are going to be running under high pressure, higher pressure than Schedule 40 a lot of the time. It's still for cold water use only. You don't want to put Schedule 80 on a hot water system because it will fail at that point. It's just a stouter material. I mean, there's you go down to SDR 35 pipe. That's the green pipe that you see in drainage systems and septic systems. So that's actually thinner and holds less pressure than Schedule 40. Then Schedule 80 is your next step up.
So my question that I was going to ask earlier, going back to Dee's question on the tankless water heaters, and you were talking about maintenance and keeping the upkeep and stuff on. Kind of explain that. What kind of maintenance and maintaining are you talking about? Because I'm one of those. It's a water heater in the closet. Leave it alone until it's broken.
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is call a plumber in that situation. And do it annually. So you want to set up an annual maintenance routine on your water heater where you're calling your plumber. They're going to come out, they're going to bring a pump and some solution with them that's designed to clean the inside of that water heater. And at the same time, they're going to be cleaning the filters, making sure that everything's working properly. There's no leaks, no scorch marks on the unit. It's better to have a plumber there that knows what they're looking at and to be able to go through and verify that this unit is in good working order and will be for the next year.
So would you do that on a standard water heater as well?
It's a good idea too. It's definitely going to maintain the life of your water heater, a tank type, if you drain it once a year. You've got it, and you can go as far as changing the anode rod, which would be something I would definitely recommend a plumber to do. But you've got a self-sacrificial anode rod that takes all the tuberculation and corrosion that occurs in a tank type water heater. Well, those fail completely after about 6 years. So if that's not replaced, all that tuberculation and corrosion then begins attacking the tank. Well, everything that builds up, as well as the dissolved anode rod, lands in the bottom of the tank. So when we go to drain a tank, a lot of the times we'll have to force air through it or water through it to get it to drain and get all the debris out of the bottom of it. So you're actually taking a shower. When you take a shower in hot water that from a tank that hasn't been maintained or drained at least once annually, flushed out, you're actually getting some dissolved solids in there that you could avoid. So it's a good idea. What I recommend people do is just for the sake of safety, go ahead and kill the breaker, hook a water hose to your water heater, drain it for 10 to 15 minutes a year, and that's going to cut down on the dissolved solids that settle in the bottom of the tank.
And is there a time of year that's better to do your service point? You know, if you're going to have it serviced once a year,
What I recommend is 1 year from the date of install,
and just keep that.
and just keep that up.
Yeah.
Can you put us on the books to check our water heater?
It's not gas, but it's a water heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, is your choice of plumber been, oh, sorry, she's just giving you a shout out. That's Ellen Bryant saying that you were their choice of plumber. You've rescued them a time or two.
Same time, we're always looking to improve our service. So, I mean, I'm looking for positive feedback, with things I could have done better along the way. I mean, if anybody ever has anything that could help me improve, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to be.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the best kind of water line piping and how does it compare to others?
A lot of it goes back to the installation. Any approved piping for the system you're installing, it is going to be a good piping. So in a drainage system, under a slab we use Schedule 40 PVC. Once we get above the slab, we can actually use a Cellcore DWV pipe, which is still a Schedule 40, but it's a lighter pipe, a little bit cheaper. It's a great pipe. It all comes down to the install and knowing how to do that properly.
Would that be kind of be comparable to like your old mobile home piping? Is that?
Well, there's some piping over the years that's been terrible.
Yeah.
Black rolled polyethylene pipe. For the most part, that was installed for service lines back in the 70s in this area. At this point in time, it's at the end of its shelf life. We're having to replace several service lines because this stuff's just getting to a point to where it's busting continuously.
Yeah.
The type of piping we use in all our water distribution systems is PEX. It's a cross-linked polyethylene that at a molecular level actually expands and contracts with the temperature variations. And I've only seen in 2 instances where it failed due to freezing and busted. One time it was a piece of pipe that was installed too close between fittings, which didn't allow room for expansion and contraction. So when it froze between those 2 fittings, it blew out. The other time I seen it, it was a clear PEX piping, and it had actually been turned yellow over the course of time. And a lot of times whenever you see yellow PEX piping, that means it's been exposed to UV, to sunlight. It sat out in the sun for a while, and that weakens the pipe and can cause failure. Other than that, we've had excellent luck with it over the last 10 years. We have to do very few repairs on PEX. It is pretty well the standard in the industry now, just because of cost and overhead whenever it comes to the install. If people prefer copper, we can do that as well. A lot of plumbers, not me, but a lot of plumbers are using pro press fittings. You run into a super high cost on those fittings versus soldering and sweating the pipe. But there again, you have to know what you're doing, and it has to be done a certain way. Otherwise, you can cause problems. As simple as a plumber not reaming the inside of a copper pipe before he sweats or sweats fittings together can cause a turbulence inside the pipe that'll eventually create pinholes. So there's you have to know what you're dealing with. But copper's great. It freezes and busts. I prefer PEX over everything, just for the ease of use, ease of repair, and so far the quality of it, it's really proven to be a good quality material.
So this is a really good question.
Okay.
Are there any health hazards associated with older houses and with old plumbing?
Health hazards associated with old plumbing? Yes. The main thing you're going to run into there is older houses that were plumbed with copper pipe. The lead content in those is going to be a lot higher than the lead content now. The Clean Water Drinking Act of 1996, I believe it was, actually reduced the amount of lead that we could use in our solder and in the pipe that and the material that was used down to like a 0.01%, so where it was 5%. So lead is going to be the number one health hazard I would see in older plumbing.
So Clint asked, what is your go-to for stopping bad smells from crawling up your nose?
Mustache.
And Layla Owens said, where's my shout out, Uncle Jason?
Happy birthday, Layla.
Oh, happy birthday.
Birthday.
And Katrina asked a good question. Is Drano or those types of products safe to use?
In some cases, slower drain. If you've got a kitchen sink that's slow draining, Drano's an okay go-to. If you've got one that's completely backed up, I would rather it not have Drano in it, simply because I'm going to have to drain that sink, and I'm going to have to run my cable through it, chances are. That cable, the Drano interacts with the steel in that cable, making it brittle and more prone to breaking. So I recommend that you stay away from Drano on a complete clog, but a slow drain, I would say give it a shot. See if you can save that service call.
So to go with that question, it was asked, are all types of Drano, liquid plumber, etc., all about the same?
As far as I know.
Okay.
There used to be one that was,
There are some professional chemicals that I carry on the truck, but you have to have a license to buy them.
well, you used to there. I don't remember what it was called, but it was in a red bottle, and you could buy it at hardware store.
Liquid fire.
Liquid fire.
That's it.
That's one of the stronger ones. Be very careful if you decide to use liquid fire.
Yeah, because it will literally get the pipe hot.
Yeah. It's some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
What is the best plumbing apprenticeship to attend for someone wanting to become a plumber?
Well, number one, to become an apprentice, you have to be hired by a plumbing company. You have to work under a master plumber. And at that point, they have 30 days to get you enrolled in an apprenticeship program. I went through the ASU Heber Springs plumbing apprenticeship program. I also now sit on the committee for the Heber Springs plumbing apprenticeship program. And as far as it goes, Paul Graham is the teacher over there. He has about a 99% success rate and pass rate on the journeyman test. As far as I'm concerned, he was one of the best people I could have had to teach me the plumbing code. He really goes into detail. The main thing is you want to learn that code. You're going to have to learn that code, because that's what entails how we do our job and how what we leave behind. Because our jobs are inspected by community water when we do new construction or service lines or something like that. We're going to be inspected by either the local authority or the state authority, the state health inspector.
Right.
So in commercial applications, we have to get it inspected by the state. We have to get it permitted by the state. In residential applications, we're just dealing with the local authority. In this case, around Gers Ferry, you're dealing with community water or mountaintop, over in the equipment area.
Yeah. Dee said, I have heard of some bad PECs. Is that something that you have heard of?
Yes, there's actually two types of PEX as far as the material itself. There's PEX A and PEX B. PEX B is a crimp-only type material that is brittle. The example that I use is I can take a piece of PEX B, I can bend it back and forth several times, and it's going to snap in half. Whereas I can take a piece of PEX A, I can sit there and bend that thing all day. I could have started when we got in here, and I could still be bending it, and it would not break. So, you definitely want to go with PEX A whenever you're dealing with PEX.
I did not realize that.
There's also PEX that's UV protected. Like I said, UV is a problem that, deteriorates the strength of the PEX. And all the stuff that we use is UV coated or UV protected, so that if it is exposed to sunlight for, if we've got some pieces laying out on the back deck, it's summer day, sun's beating down, I'm not doing any damage to that pipe while we're installing.
He said, why do people use PEX B? Cheaper,
and they're not knowledgeable on the difference in the two as far as the quality.
How many homes still have cast iron drains after all the years?
Several. One of the things we done this week was we added a shower drain. A guy is turning an existing half bath in a basement into a full bath. Well, what we had to do was cut about a 2 by 6 foot long channel in the concrete, dig down to the existing cast iron, and tap that drain into that, and then of course cover it up. And they'll have concrete poured back in its place. We do everything but the concrete. I'm not a concrete guy. I'd rather, stay in my lane when it comes to that type of thing, because quality's what I pride myself on, and that's what we want to live behind. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to attempt it.
Right.
And I do it for my own house, but not for anybody else.
Exactly.
But no, cast iron is still very common. There's a lot of houses in this area.
you took it out from under ours.
Yeah, this area was really developed back in the 60s and 70s after the lake went in, and cast iron was the go-to pipe.
You have something you would like to tell the community?
The main thing is if you're looking to get new plumbing installed, or you're running into an issue with your existing plumbing, whether you call us or you call any of the other plumbers in town, I recommend that you call a licensed and insured plumber. Like I said, we have to complete quite the gauntlet of schooling and work experience to carry our license, and we also have to carry liability insurance, for the jobs that we complete. It also gives you a recourse. You've got a plumber that you can call that is in business if something does go wrong with their repair or something like that. We installed a pump last week, brand new sewer pump to replace one that had burned up. Well, the new one quit working. Went back over there today. In this case, it was as simple as calling my supply house. Hey, I need another pump. We're going to warranty it, get it installed, and those people have peace of mind that they can count on their plumber. If I didn't do that, they would then have the recourse to come after me, through small claims court or a lawsuit, something like that. And because I am a licensed plumber, that would be on my insurance or on me personally, depending on what my insurance said. Whereas an unlicensed plumber, they really have no recourse. They can take them to small claims court, but you're trying to get blood from a turnip at that point.
Right. You chose to go that route.
Exactly.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Plaintiff.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good plumbing's not cheap. Cheap plumbing's not good.
Listen up and
Yeah, definitely. I give free estimates on stuff like that, where we're coming out and we're changing a water heater from a tank type to a tankless, or changing a range out from an electric to a gas, or a new gas system install or something like that. We'll come out and we'll give a free estimate on any project like that. Whenever it comes to service work, there's really not a way to come out and estimate what that's going to be. Right. We just come out. You can expect the service call fee, which includes my first hour of work, and plus any material that we're going to have to use to make the repair. Every repair is different.
Yeah.
Paul said, "Go to church if you want to work."
Go to church if you want to work.
Go to church if you want to work.
I go to church because Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.
Preach.
Amen to that.
Well, I want to say that we appreciate you for the simple fact you were Johnny on the spot, and you was like, when y'all get it up and running, I want to be on it.
Yeah.
And
I definitely want to support y'all in this whole endeavor. I mean, so far you're doing great, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. Thank you. Definitely. But at the same time, if you call right now, and for the last 6.5 years, if you call Traveler Plumbing, you get me. Right. You get me on the phone. I'm who you're going to talk to. I'm who's going to schedule the work. And also, I'm going to be the one that shows up at your house. And that's been the way it's been for 6.5 years. That's one of the hard things about putting another truck on the road is they're going to have to perform, and do the same job that I would leave behind, because I'm not going to accept anything less.
Right. No. But we do appreciate everybody for tuning in. Great questions, great conversation. And who do we have next week?
Don Hartsfield, the killer.
So with that, we're going to say
So,
good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Deuces.